The mental health had already started to take its toll because of the environment that I was in. Like, you're prepared, but you're never fully prepared for the space, right? And then in 2016, a friend of mine was raped. I was there. Long story. Uh, can't really go into like details because my mind, like, there's this thing like with trauma, right? And how we deal with trauma, we deal with it in different ways. Like, I have chucked out most of the bad stuff that happened, um closed it off into a deep dark space in my mind, so I can't remember much about it. But what I can say is that it was a difficult case. um the courts or the justice system are not entirely in favor of like women, particularly women who are African but are not South African. So if you're a foreign national, right? So that caused a lot of stress and um, heartbreak for myself and my friend. Um, and just like pure devastation, because how can you even, I don't know how do you deal with that? And like, you just can't, especially if the system is against you. I remember we went to the police station, and because I'm closer, right, and we're in Cape Town, and I'm telling the story to whoever it was, the police lady, because I had thought that it would have been easier speaking to someone who was a woman at the police station. And they were just like, but why weren't you raped? Because I wasn't raped at that particular instance. And I was so shook. I was like, but did I need to be raped? Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's so hard to get over that and try to grapple with it. And having dealt with the case and it's not moving and you're being harassed and you have to drop the whole case because your life needs to move on because you have school, you have work, and basically you have a life. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So yeah, like, things really started to intensify at that moment, and that place by the mountain like tried to intervene, but it was a lost cause, because of what I've shared. But it just wasn't going forward. um I don't know, our policing system, our judicial system is just not equipped to support women. A lot of, like, today, for example, we speak of like cancel culture, we speak about rape culture, and I think, like, a big critique is that, yeah, people come forward, but then where's the evidence? But even if you have the evidence and you go through the legal system, the whole, like, judiciary route, at the end of the day, like, chances are you might not get um the justice that you seek from the system. So, from an institutional perspective, I feel like more could be done, right? Because UCT has the resources and the capacity to run a lot more like mental health practitioners, and like just health practitioners could be employed at the student wellness center. And then two, obviously, abona bantu that are affected by this issue is Black students who are particularly on financial aid, right? Because if you are, if you can afford to be on medical aid and see a private doctor or psychologist, or then you're fine, right? So I feel like the institution could do so much more. The issue has been raised on like multiple levels and multiple occasions: 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, right? And it's just apparent that the current system isn't working. It does not serve students, particularly students who are Black and are on financial aid at UCT, because student wellness, unfortunately, it cannot it cannot serve the entire student populace. And that's just speaking numbers, community of UCT versus, the mental health or health practitioners at the student wellness center. So much more could be done. How did I get through? Yay, Haimta said there's no formula, you just get through it, you survive. I lost my dad in 2020, so I was like, I need to get through this. Unfortunately, if I don't, then there's nothing. And I was like, you know what, fighting with the UCT is not gonna help anymore. Like, let me just try. So you try and survive at the end of the day. It's like, it's a difficult question, because if I don't know to make say, how do you get through life? Is there an actual formula, or like there isn't? You just survive and you double and double. Okay, financial aid is a difficult one, because the fees must fall question, really does delve into this one. I am part of what you would deem or define as coming from the missing middle, right? Where my dad was a teacher by profession, has extended family that he needs to take care of, particularly can't afford to pay for UCT and VITs at the same time, as I have a twin. So it becomes difficult. And I come into the space, I don't have funding, as I had said when we started out this interview. Don't have funding, don't have accommodation or anything. So it's a real struggle, especially if you're having to pay for accommodation and fees, right? With that one, I think I have survived, and I have, because I've been in the space for so long, friends have helped, right? Especially friends who have had or who have social capital, right? Because there's this one year whereby, I'm looking at my fee account, all of a sudden I owe 100K. From where? No, guys, I'm not even joking. From where? I owe 100K. What? I did one course and now I owe 100K. And I messaged I don't know, say out any names.
Name of the office.
Yeah, but someone from financial aid, the head of financial aid at the time, and I was like, please just justify the amounts. It's already there on PeopleSoft and the statement. Just justify every amount, right? And they were not able to And because I didn't have the social capital, I had to ask my friends who had the social capital to be like, guys, step in, ask for me so that I am able to deal with this nonsense. Because if I can't, then I can't finish my degree. And they were able to do that, right? So it just, like, I don't know. I can't give any concrete answers. Maybe someone else can, who's going to.
Did it change you? Secondly,
I want to sleep.
oh, it was inactive.
Away.
Yeah.
So I think someone who, I don't know. I can't give concrete answers. UCT, it's been a matter of survival for me, right? The stories of survival, and that's how it has been. And I made it through, and that's it. Otherwise, I have no concrete answers for anyone. But what I can say is, I don't recommend that people go to that place by the mountain. It's important to speak out and to get help, because in order to heal the trauma, right, the responsibility is on you. No one can ever be able to do that for you, right? Not any institution, not anyone who's ever hurt you, or so that responsibility is on you. The way in which I look at trauma is that for now, when it comes into my life, I say, oh, I see you, I recognize you, you're here, but we need to move on, in the sense that you can't create a permanent space for it in your life, because unfortunately you're going to be left behind, lagging, and then you're going to start to identify with that, right? But you can't, so it's important to speak out. It's important to get help, because you can only find true happiness and healing from dealing with your issues, so from yourself, right? What was the other question?
That was the only question.
Yeah. But my proudest moment is the friendships that I have managed to build and sustain. To my friends, guys, I would have not made it without you. Y'all know that. I would have definitely not made it without these people and the community that I built. Community of blacks. I love you guys. Thank you for everything. So that's my proudest moment, the friendships, Okay, so I don't think I've always been passionate about education, but I've always,
what you've been talking about now.
yeah, but I've always been passionate about black people. And I think my dad was a big influence on me, because remember I said that when I started at UCT, I did psychology and English lit, and then I changed to politics and English lit, right? So I've always been passionate about black people. Funny story, before my dad died, he was like, like, what are you learning? And I was like, oh, so I'm doing like politics. And he was like, do you like that? And I was like, yeah, of course, this has always been my thing. And he was like, okay, promise me one thing, you're gonna graduate, and then like all the protests that you want to do, I'll support you. And then he was like, don't tell your mom. So when I qualified, we were driving back with my mom from town, and I was like, oh, so I qualified for graduation. And she's like, in what? I'm like, in politics. She's like, not psychology. After 6 years. After 6 years, not psychology. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, literally, like, translates to my dad, like said that I shouldn't tell you. It was really funny. But I think we have like a real problem in the educational system in South Africa from like grade R, Um, so I think the way in which we teach, the people that are coming after me and after us and all of that, it has to be different. Yeah. Well? And also, from many perspectives, right? Look at the economy right now. Look at the pandemic, as I call it, which is the, like, what do you call this? Youth unemployment issue in South Africa, right? What universities and schools are doing, they're generally saying that, oh no, go to school, get a degree, and then go into the rat race. But you have so many graduates. I mean, like, the conversation could take so many different directions when you talk about like university acceptance space. But like, a lot of people are going into the market, and the market isn't able to absorb them, right? And now you have a huge unemployment issue in South Africa. And the problem is that our education system is saying that, no, we're training you to go into the rat race. But why aren't we training people to become high impact leaders, right? That are going to be job creators? Why aren't we putting more money in entrepreneurial development, right? Why aren't we though?
Hey man, that's why
it's a legit question. Like, why aren't we doing that, right? So I think the education system needs to change from a language perspective and from many other perspectives, because that would help a lot. Okay, in 2020, everyone was at home, and then I realized that the matriculants from my neighborhood, which is Mdumazulu, this is in rural areas of Mthatha in Nqeleni, right? Unlike students who are going to private institutions, they did not have tablets and the luxury of attending online classes, or the luxury of having a textbook at home, because they had to share amongst maybe 4 other people, write one textbook. So they weren't able to learn. So I took it upon myself to say, I'm going to teach you guys everything, and I'm going to find people who are going to help us, right? And then after that experience, this year, 2022, I decided to start a company called Varsity Launchpad, which was, trying to bridge the gap between university students and our high school students who are matriculating, to say that, okay, no, you're done matriculating, now you want to apply to universities, right? And then one of my friends who I've known for like 12 years, like literally my best friend, they started a business. I went to NMU, and they were selling amagwinya, amagwinya, right? Which is fed cooks. And then Usia would always visit campus. And I was like, how are you guys advertising yourselves? And they're like, oh no, like we use, word of mouth and WhatsApp, like statuses. And their business was doing well. And then Usia was like, why don't we just start a marketplace for students, so that they are able to advertise their businesses? Because there's that guy who lives in that block, Aperez, who sells ikota, and there's that guy who sells this, and there's that guy who sells that, right? So when I was speaking to my friend, I was like, oh, I have this business, bruh. And he was like, oh, we have this business, right? And we were like, oh, let's work together, let's merge. So they had started like a virtual campus, right? Where it started from like a marketplace, but now it was like, what do students do on campus? Because it's hard to speak outside of the post-COVID context. Like, Guys, post-COVID is a reference now. It's a real thing. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's like a real thing. So I was like, students sell textbooks to each other. They want to find accommodation. They want to find bursaries. They want to get jobs. They want this. They want to crowdfund. They want A, B, and C. And then we were like, okay, campus life, right? And we merged it with Vancity Launchpad. So it was just like, oh, campus life, right? So from a high school perspective, we're helping with like applications for students in university. And then from a campus life perspective, we're giving the campus life experience, right? In the sense that like universities can't just be like, oh yeah, it's COVID, and then we're using Zoom and Teams to go to class. But that doesn't encompass the whole university experience, right? So we're bringing the experience to you, and we're trying to bridge the gap between all these other institutions in the country, right? Can you imagine that if vets had a free like mental health whatever program, right, that it was dishing out to their students, and we could put it out on campus life, and someone from, let's say, Owusu, who doesn't have access to that because they're going to a historically black institution, could have access to that information on our platform. It bridges that gap in terms of like information and everything else, right? And the communication and all of that. So yeah. So you go on www.campuslife.co.za and then you subscribe, and then the platform is free for students to use. We have a verification system. So obviously, like, for me, students are here, right? Because working on campus life is like writing a love letter to myself, right? And in thinking of that, I think about safety, right? So we have a verification system, right? So if you want to trade with someone, right, that's listed on the platform, if they're verified, then you know, okay, this person is a student because they've been verified by the platform. This person can deliver, yeah. And also we have a payment gateway so that people don't get scammed and all of those things, yeah. So it's very easy to use. You just go on the platform and then you decide what is it that you want to do, what is the problem that you have, and what is it that the platform can give a solution to, right? Like, are you having an accommodation issue in January whereby you can't get a space in res? Okay, sure, cool. But like, you need to find a place. So you go on the platform, look for a private accommodation, you get it, and that's it. I'd be like, the coin was wrong, baby girl. Like, go to enemy or whatever. Go back, leave. No, but you know what? I'm just joking. Like, I wouldn't say go back. Like, I think I'd go through the entire experience again. Because, like, I've learned so much, about myself through the entire experience, and it's things that no one could ever possibly take away from me. Someone wrote this post on LinkedIn about the edge, which is bits. They're like, without all those horrible experiences, I wouldn't have the edge. And it's the same, like, with me, without all of those experiences at UCT, like, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. Hello everyone, my name is Nqabakazi Mbiko. I hold a degree in a Bachelor of Social Science from the University of Cape Town in Politics and English Literature. I'm the co-founder of Campus Life. Technologies, which is an edutech company. And this is my journey. Cheers!